My son was applying for college, and in the college application, it asked for occupation. And he put down doctor. But then it asked what was my previous occupation, and he didn't know. His owner knew me as a doctor. So he came up to me and said, "Dad, where were you before you were a doctor?" And I thought about it, and it dawned on me, I was a farm worker. I'd always been a farm worker. From the age that I can remember, from 3 years of age, I was picking cotton. And even through elementary school and high school and college and even medical school, on my summers and holidays, I would go out and work in the fields. My grandmother wasn't too happy about that. She would tell me that she took me in when nobody else wanted me. She should have just left me abandoned in the streets because I was just another mouth to feed. I owed it to her to go out and work in the fields and to support her. When I grew up, I should go up and support her. And so we lived, like I said, a life of poverty. We had a house with no hot running water, and there were 15 of us in the home too. So it was hard. And a lot of you may have seen these kids that come in. They're dirty, they smell, they have torn clothes. They wear the same clothes day after day. Well, that was me. And I tried to wash my clothes. I tried to wash myself, but there just wasn't any way sometimes to do that. For some reason, the second grade teacher, she came down to my level, and she looked at this dirty little Mexican kid, and she looked me in the eye and she said, "You should go to college." Now, where she got that idea from, I have no idea. But she told me that. But so that she planted that little seed in my brain. And then, I was going on to the 4th grade, and I was really, really afraid to go into 4th grade because the teacher was one of those mean witches that had this wild hair. And oh, by the way, are there any 4th grade teachers here? You raise your hand, please. But anyway, I ended up in her class, and she made me the person I really am today. She believed in me. She made me sit up front. She made me speak. She hit people in the head and then the knuckles when I spoke and I stuttered and they laughed at me. She protected me. And needless to say, I wanted to please her, so I was able to get straight A's in my report card. So I ran home to show my grandmother that I was somebody. And I thought she would be so proud of me that she'd tell everybody what great grades I had and what a smart student I was. I ran home, I showed her the report card, and she took a look at it, threw it on the table, and said, "Go give me some cigarettes." And so when I was going through elementary school at Goshen, I was able to get the highest grade point average, and I expected to be the valedictorian for the 8th grade. Well, right before that, they called me in and told me that due to my stutter, that I was not going to be allowed to speak, that the second person was, which was okay with me because I was afraid to speak in front of a crowd anyway. But then when the high school counselor came up and met with me and the other person, and he told her, "Oh, you should do college prep courses." And I said the same thing. I want to go to college. He said, No, I'm going to put you in wood shop. This man was 6'5", 250 pounds. And up to that point, my grandfather had taught us a white male was always the boss, and they were always right, and you always look down to them, and you look down, and you never looked them in the eye. Well, I stood my ground, and I told him I was going to go to college, and I was going to take college prep courses, and I was not going to take no for an answer. So he put me in college prep courses on probation. So I went to Redwood High School on probation, took French, algebra, and English and all those courses. And I came from a small little town of Goshen, so when I was in this high school, I just thought, wow, what did I get myself into? And it wasn't so much the school itself. When I saw the kids and the parents all involved, I realized what a normal family really was. And then I had some friends in high school that whenever I was really down and out, and I would not speak to them for 20 days in a row or 3 weeks. I would just go off by myself and not communicate with anybody. And I would come back to them, and they would accept me back into their little group. So this little group of 5 people would accept me back no matter what I did or how I acted around them. And they didn't realize how much they meant to me because I kept looking at them and said, that's a normal family. First week that I was there, I was taking an anthropology class, and I saw this most beautiful girl. And in high school, I never dated. I was afraid of girls, and so I didn't have any dates. But I saw her, and I thought, wow. Within a week, I fell in love with her, and I knew I was going to marry her. The only problem is she had a boyfriend. So somehow I had to convince her that I was a better looking, more charming person than her boyfriend. And by the end of the quarter, I had convinced her that I was the person for her. And I was going to take her home to meet my brothers and sisters. We had gotten married right before, as soon as we graduated from Santa Cruz. And 1 week later, I started medical school. And in between that time, we got married. And she wasn't very happy about the hotel that I picked for our honeymoon, because it's one of those that you rent by the hour. And I didn't know that at the time. And needless to say, it wasn't a very good night. But the next day I said, but honey, our stuff's all in the car. Nobody stole it. Here I am, a month into my internship year. I have an MD degree. I don't have a job. Debbie is 8 months pregnant. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do now. But then about a month later, my daughter, Marina, is born. And she gave me hope. She took my finger in her little hand, and she looked me in the eye, and I knew that this was no longer about me, about her and my children that I come in, that I had to build a foundation for them. So from then on, I devoted my life to her. I studied for her. I begged to get back into the internship year, and I went back, and they led me back into my internship. If it wasn't for the teachers, if it wasn't for that second grade teacher, if it wasn't for that fourth grade teacher or that biology teacher, I wouldn't be here today. Because people like you don't know how much power you have. And you don't have to say a whole lot. You just have to be there. You just have to say the right word at the right time. And luckily, that was what happened to me. Somebody told me the right word and the right action when I needed it. And all through my life, I keep telling people, if it wasn't for this one person here, or that one person there, or that person there, or that action there, I wouldn't have ever done what I did. A lot of people said what I did going to medical school in one generation is impossible. Well, I did it. And I want to thank you as teachers for having made this possible for me. Thank you very much for listening to me.